Just want to provide some generalized direction with respect to current affairs today. Then over and above that, I'm going to discuss a few topics thoroughly, and my main focus is how to develop a topic properly in order to make it suitable for both the preliminary and the main examination. రెండింటికి పనికొచ్చేలాగా మనం అసలు ఒక టాపిక్ ని ఎట్లా డెవలప్ చేసుకోవాలి అండ్ try to understand this. The current affairs sessions here are mainly meant as a session which will show direction to you people in order to prepare more such good topics. Don't think that we are going to provide like complete all topics cannot be covered in any current affairs session. ఎప్పుడైనా గుర్తుపెట్టుకోండి, అన్ని టాపిక్స్ క్లాస్ నుంచే డెలివరీ అవుతాయి అనేది అది కుదరదు. కంపల్సరీగా మీ ఎఫర్ట్ కూడా ఉండాలి. కాబట్టి మీరు ఒక కరెంట్ అఫైర్స్ టాపిక్ ని అసలు ఎట్లా అప్రోచ్ అవ్వాలి, దాన్ని ఎలా డెవలప్ చేయాలి, డెవలప్ చేసినప్పుడు మనం ఎంత థరోగా వెళ్ళాలని ఆస్పెక్ట్ మీద మనం మెయిన్ గా డిస్కషన్ చేస్తాం. దాంతోపాటు యూపీఎస్సీ typically tends to do what whenever any current affairs topic is repeatedly in news, it is going to pick up the topic and go to its base. It is not going to ask questions superficially. It is going to ask, it is going to go into the interior aspect of it, and whatever constitutional provisions are there, whatever legal provisions are there with respect to a said issue, they are going to explore those dimensions. For example, మీరు చాలా రోజులు చూస్తుంటారు. So the Election Commission of India, it has been conducting a review. What is the review called, sir? SIR. Yes or no? So, but do you people know clearly what are the provisions of Representation of People Act which enables the Election Commission in order to conduct the SIR? Which provisions of the Representation of People Act provide the right for Election Commission in order to deal with the issue of electoral roll amendment? 1950, correct, but which provision? You should tell and remember the article number also. ఎప్పుడైనా సరే మనకు ప్రిలిమ్స్ లో క్వశ్చన్ అడిగినప్పుడు కూడా they will pick up the topic which is very prominent news. Everyone will think that SIR is political. So because of which reason we will not touch this issue, because UPSC also might not be interested in asking a question directly on SIR. But that is not the case. What they will do is they will go back to Representation of People Act. They will go back to the Constitution, and in Constitution which article permits the Election Commission in order to in fact conduct SIR, sir? Which constitutional article permits the Election Commission to conduct SIR? ఎక్కడి నుంచి వస్తుంది Election Commission పవర్? 324 is the one which empowers the Election Commission in order to take care of all matters related to election. Then specifically in RPA there are some particular provisions like section 20, section 17 which ask the Election Commission to regularly regularly relook at the electoral rolls and amend them according to the changing demography. It includes deletions, additions, migration వల్ల మారిన నేమ్స్, ఇలాంటివన్నీ ప్రొవిజన్స్ మనకు Representation of People Act లో క్లియర్ గా. But the Representation of People Act also says that it has to be a continuous process. Are you understanding this, sir? But rather than conducting a continuous process, the government is doing what, sir? It is going to conduct the electoral roll review in one go just before election. That is the reason for the controversy around special intensive revision program. ఎందుకు కాంట్రవర్షియల్ అవుతుంది? యాక్చువల్ గా రెగ్యులర్ గా అమెండ్ చేయాల్సిన ఎలక్టోరల్ రూల్స్ ఏవైతే ఉన్నాయో వాటిని 10-15 ఇయర్స్ నుంచి పెద్ద అమెండ్మెంట్ లేకుండా అలానే పర్సిస్ట్ చేస్తున్నారు. ఆ రివ్యూ మెకానిజం అనేది రిపీటెడ్ గా జరుగుంటే ఇప్పుడు ఇన్ని ఓటర్ డిలీషన్స్ జరిగేవి కాదు. Suddenly when it is conducted just before the election, then what will happen is there will be a fear and perception among the people that there is manipulation of the electoral roll in order to suit the people who are present in positions of power. అక్కడ నుంచే కదా మెయిన్ కాంట్రవర్సీ స్టార్ట్ అయింది. ఏమంటున్నారు ఇప్పుడు? Election Commission is working as a puppet of the central government is what they are saying. Why are they making this statement now? Primarily because just before election, when substantial number of votes are being deleted, electoral roll entries are being deleted, naturally a question will rise with respect to what or which provisions of RPA is empowering the Election Commission in order to do such a review. అర్థమవుతుందా మీకు? అంటే SIR టాపిక్ రిపీటెడ్ గా వస్తే ప్రతిరోజు SIR గురించి మనం చదవాల్సిన అవసరం లేదు. మనం ఏం చేయాలి, దాని కాన్స్టిట్యూషనల్ బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్ ఏంటి, దానికి ఉన్న లీగల్ బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్ ఏంటి, రిప్రజెంటేషన్ ఆఫ్ పీపుల్ యాక్ట్ లో ఏం చెప్పారు. దాని తర్వాత రీసెంట్లీ ద సుప్రీం కోర్ట్ ఆల్సో సెడ్ వెరీ క్లియర్లీ దట్ ద ఎలక్షన్ కమిషన్ ఈస్ ఎంపవర్డ్ ఎనఫ్ ఇన్ ఆర్డర్ టు కండక్ట్ ద స్పెషల్ ఇంటెన్సివ్ రివ్యూ ప్రోగ్రామ్. But at the same time, it also stated very clearly that so the procedure in order to relook the electoral rolls should be fair. ఈ ఫెయిర్నెస్ టెస్ట్ అనేది ఎలక్షన్ కమిషన్ ని అడిగారా లేదా సార్? ఏదైనా ఎంట్రీ కానీ డిలీషన్ కానీ ఫెయిర్నెస్ టెస్ట్ బేసిస్ మీద మేము రివ్యూ చేస్తాము అని సుప్రీం కోర్ట్ కూడా చెప్తుంది. సో బికాస్ ఆఫ్ విచ్ రీజన్ మన టాపిక్ పికింగ్ అనేది ప్రాపర్ గా ఉండాలి. ఇప్పుడు నేను SIR ఒక టాపిక్ చెప్పాను, దాంతో పాటు లాస్ట్ 1 week లో మీకు తెలిసిన ప్రామినెంట్ కరెంట్ అఫైర్స్ ఏదని చెప్పండి సార్. ప్రామినెంట్ వన్, యూ టెల్ మీ వాట్ ఈస్ హ్యాపెనింగ్. ఏంటి సార్? 377 G7 summit. G7 summit. So international relations majorly I'll avoid, primarily because either Rahul sir or Raja will take up the international relations part. So I'll try to avoid it. Mainly some areas which are associated with polity, governance and other dimensions I'll take up. So if you observe, in political terms, one of the major current affairs news that is being doing rounds is with respect to what, sir? Defection. Very good. Anti-defection law is at the center of political controversy. Yes or no, sir? So this anti-defection law, which is associated with the 10th schedule of Indian Constitution, so and particularly the provision of merger has been at the center of all the debates which are been happening. Yes or no, sir? So split and merger, 53rd Constitutional Amendment Act, then 52nd Constitutional Amendment Act, which was further amended again in 91st Amendment Act. Yes or no, sir? So in fact, it was originally enacted during the time of Rajiv Gandhi's prime ministership. Then after that, it was again amended in 1991. So through the 1991 or which year? So year is not very important for us, but 91st Constitutional Amendment Act again amended it and removed the provision of split. But now, the main issue is with respect to in multiple states mergers are happening. అవునా కదా? మరి మర్జర్ జరిగినప్పుడు డిఫెక్షన్ కి ఎగ్జంప్షన్ ఉంది కదా. సో దీని మీద మనకు క్వశ్చన్ రావడానికి పాసిబిలిటీ ఉందా? Definitely there is a possibility of a question, primarily because anti-defection law today, it has criminalized or it has penalized individual defections, but it permitted collective defections. Individual defections ni వాళ్ళు టార్గెట్ చేస్తున్నారు, penalize చేస్తున్నారు, కానీ collective defections ni అది పర్మిట్ చేస్తుంది. This is the core theme that we need to understand. You might have observed that TMC political party, Shiv Sena, right now, so both the political parties along with AAP, they are facing an existential crisis because of this issue of merger. Mari in merger topic ni manam asalu ela handle cheyali, how to tackle the issue of merger is something that we are going to discuss today. This topic I will elaborate on today, sir. Asalu meer enta detail loki ellali, ela meer prepare avvali. So Supreme Court cases, what are the various cases which are present on the said issue? I'm going to explain them thoroughly. So this topic will pick up today, sir. Nanto paatu inka emaina prominent developments unnaya, sir? Can you tell any other prominent development over the past 10-15 days? Right to walk. So walk on footpaths. Fine, but I'll tell you, sir. So there is one more topic that I want to discuss today. So the other topic that I wanted to discuss today is with respect to the Ladakh issue. So you might have seen, the Ladakh issue, is nearing its conclusion. So many questions with respect to, the status of Ladakh as a union territory, their demand of Schedule 6, then over and above this, Article 370, which has been 71, which has been proposed by the Indian government. So what are the intricacies of it we are going to talk about today. So in Article 371, దాంతో పాటు 6th schedule area అని వాళ్ళు డిమాండ్ చేస్తున్నారు, స్టేట్హుడ్ అడుగుతున్నారు. అసలు ఈ టాపిక్ ఏంటి, దీంట్లో అసలు మనకు తెలుసుకోవాల్సిన విషయాలు ఏమి ఉన్నాయి, దాన్ని మనం ఎలా అప్లై చేయొచ్చు అనే విషయాన్ని ఈరోజు, దట్ ఈస్ ఆల్సో వన్ మోర్ టాపిక్ దట్ వి ఆర్ గోయింగ్ టు డెవలప్ టుడే. This is the second one. Then the third topic that I'm going to develop today is I'm going to discuss about the topic of POCSO, which has been for a lot of time, it has been at the center of controversy, because of which reason I'll deliver the issue of POCSO also for you people, so which is associated with both society and politics. సో రెండు టాపిక్స్ మనకి ఇక్కడ ఇంటర్వ్యూ అవుతున్నాయి కాబట్టి డెఫినెట్లీ వీ హ్యావ్ టు రీలుక్ ఇట్ సార్. సో దీస్ ఆర్ ది 3-4 టాపిక్స్ దట్ వీఆర్ గోయింగ్ టు డిస్కస్ టుడే. సో ప్లీజ్ ట్రై టు understand the necessary depth which is required in order to handle these topics. Let me explain. దాంతో పాటు ఏం చేస్తున్నారు సార్ మీరు రోజు? ఆర్ యూ రీడింగ్ హిందూ న్యూస్ పేపర్? యు ఆర్ లుకింగ్ అట్ ది హిందూ న్యూస్ పేపర్? yes you are looking at the Hindu newspaper. Just one more suggestion that I want to give you people is, per day at least try to do research on one topic. మీరు న్యూస్ పేపర్ చదవండి కానీ రోజు ఒక 1 hour టైం మాత్రం ఏంటంటే ఓన్లీ రీసెర్చ్ కి వదిలేయండి. దాని నుంచి మనకు క్వశ్చన్ వస్తుందా రాదా, లేకపోతే ఏం అవుట్కమ్ ఉంటుంది అనేది మీకు అవసరం లేదు. కానీ ఒక స్పెసిఫిక్ టాపిక్ పిక్ చేసుకున్న టాపిక్ మీద రోజు ఒక 1 hour మాత్రం కంపల్సరీగా స్పెండ్ చేయండి. ఇట్ ఈస్ అ వెరీ ఎసెన్షియల్ పార్ట్ ఆఫ్ యువర్ ప్రిపరేషన్ గోయింగ్ అహెడ్. డెఫినెట్లీ యూపీఎస్సీ is going to become more dynamic. Because of which reason any standardized material for the sake of current affairs is not going to work for you. Per day 1 hour you have to dedicatedly for the sake of research. ఇంక మీరు ఏం చేయాల్సిన పని లేదు, ఏదో ఒక టాపిక్ పిక్ చేసుకోండి. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఇప్పుడు డిఫెక్షన్స్ వచ్చింది, డిఫెక్షన్స్ పిక్ చేసుకొని దాని మీద థరో గోయింగ్ రీసెర్చ్ ఉండాలి. మంచి నోట్ కూడా మీరు తయారు చేసుకోవాలి. ఫర్ టుమారో దెర్ షుడ్ బి వన్ మోర్ టాపిక్. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ SIR I have told about. Tomorrow you pick up that topic. Then the third day you pick up a topic with respect to any other matter. Okay, for example 16th Finance Commission has given its report. You dedicate 1 day for 16th Finance Commission, 1 hour. Read all the recommendations of the 16th Finance Commission, which are prominent ones. Then fiscal federalism మీద దాని ఇంపాక్ట్ ఏంటి. 16th Finance Commission is a very probable topic. అర్థమవుతుంది మీకు నేను చెప్పింది? సో ఇలా మీరు పెద్ద పెద్ద టాపిక్స్ అన్ని మీరు ప్రిపేర్ అవుతా ఉంటే ఆటోమేటిక్గా ఏమవుతుందంటే మీ ప్రిపరేషన్ లెవెల్ అనేది ఎన్హాన్స్ అవుతుంది. ప్రిపరేషన్ లెవెల్ ఎన్హాన్స్ అవడంతో పాటు మీకు ఎప్పుడైనా సరే ఎక్కడైనా క్వశ్చన్స్ వచ్చినా కూడా మీరు చేయడానికి పాసిబిలిటీ ఉంటుంది. డోంట్ రిలై ఆన్ కట్ కాపీ పేస్ట్ మెటీరియల్స్. ఆ మెటీరియల్స్ ఏంటంటే మీకు సో దే విల్ నెవర్ ఎంటర్ ఇన్ టు యువర్ సోల్. దే విల్ రిమైన్ ఓన్లీ అట్ ది టిప్ ఆఫ్ యువర్ హెడ్. ఎవరైనా గట్టి కదిలించినా సరే ఎగిరిపోతాయి. అర్థమవుతుందా? ద థింగ్స్ దట్ యూ ప్రిపేర్ ఆన్ యువర్ ఓన్ విచ్ గెట్ ఇంటగ్రేటెడ్ ఇన్ యువర్ సోల్, దోస్ టాపిక్స్ ఆర్ గోయింగ్ టు రిమైన్ విత్ యూ. వాళ్ళ క్వశ్చన్ ఎలా అని అడగనివ్వండి, మీరు మంచి టాపిక్స్ మీరు ప్రిపేర్ అయి ఉంటే ఆటోమేటిక్గా మీరు దాన్ని ఈజీగా ట్యాకిల్ చేయగలరు. అలా కాకుండా మీరు సూపర్ఫిషియల్ గా చదివిన టాపిక్స్ ఎక్కడ మెటీరియల్లో హాఫ్ బేక్ టాపిక్స్ ని మీరు బట్టి కొట్టాలని ట్రై చేస్తే వర్కౌట్ అవ్వచ్చు సార్. నేను మళ్ళీ కూడా చెప్తున్నాను, అందరూ అవే మెటీరియల్ చదువుతారు. మరి అందరూ ఫిలిమ్స్ క్లియర్ చేస్తున్నారా? అవునా కదా? సో దట్ టు సో దర్ ఇస్ ఎ ఫ్లష్ ఆఫ్ మెటీరియల్స్. అండ్ రిమెంబర్ ఆల్వేస్ ఎనీథింగ్ విచ్ ఇస్ గివెన్ ఫ్రీ టు యూ ఇస్ నాట్ వెరీ వర్తీ థింగ్. బాగా గుర్తుపెట్టుకోండి. ఇప్పుడు ఇంకా ChatGPT వచ్చిన కాలంలో సో ఇప్పుడు ఏంటంటే మెటీరియల్ తయారు చేయడం ఎవరైనా చేయొచ్చు. మెటీరియల్ తయారు చేయొచ్చు. ఆ మెటీరియల్ ని తీసుకొని మీరు దాంతో మీకు కుస్తీ పట్టడం కంటే కూడా ఆ మెటీరియల్ కంటే కూడా మీ టైమే వాల్యూ. బాగా గుర్తుపెట్టుకోండి. సో అండ్ స్పెండ్ యువర్ టైమ్ వైజ్లీ అండ్ యూ కెన్ డూ ఇట్ వెరీ క్లియర్లీ సార్. Understandable? So now let me discuss this topic of so defection. Let me explain the themes of defection. What are the various Supreme Court judgments? How you people need to make a note also I'll explain here sir. So listen carefully. So as pointed out so నేను ఇక్కడ మాత్రం నోట్స్ డిక్టేట్ చేయను. మీరు రన్నింగ్ నోట్ లో ఏది రాసుకోగలిగితే అది రాసుకోండి. నోట్స్ మాత్రం నేను డిక్టేట్ చేయను. సో బికాస్ దీస్ టాపిక్స్ ఆర్ వెరీ డైనమిక్ అండ్ వెరీ బిగ్. And if I keep dictating, then automatically what will happen is it will eat away my time. So because of which reason, coverage is much more important. 3 prominent topics I'll discuss today, sir. 3 to 4 topics, prominent topics నేను discuss చేస్తాను. దాంతో పాటు మీకు తెలిసి ఉంటుంది. So this first, so VB-G-Ramji program has come into effect. So because of which reason, there is a good possibility of a question on comparison between VB-G-Ramji and MG Narega. So అది కూడా ఒక టాపిక్ నేను మీకు జస్ట్ నోటిఫై చేస్తున్నాను. Then apart from that, you might have seen that the Uniform Civil Code has been enacted in, or it is the final stage of enactment in Assam and Gujarat also. Gujarat already it is done. In Assam it is the final stage of enactment. So UCC kuda manaku oka prominent topic avutundi. So this way there are some prominent issues that needs to be discussed thoroughly. So we'll talk about them as the time goes by. Because every week we are conducting the sessions. You will have the coverage of good number of topics, sir. Understandable? So now listen carefully. So whenever we talk about the anti-defection. Okay, so 52nd and 91st Amendment Act are the two acts that you need to remember. And usually ఎవరైనా సరే anti-defection question వచ్చినప్పుడు naturally they will refer to in the introduction itself answer రాయాలనుకుంటే 10th schedule they will refer to, or they will refer to this famous case which is called as Ayaram and Gayaram. Okay, so you people might be knowing about it. Ayaram and Gayaram case అంటే ఆ ఇన్సిడెంట్స్ ని నోట్ చేస్తూ that necessitated the constitutional amendment which was done through the 52nd Constitutional Amendment Act, and it was further amended again through the 91st Constitutional Amendment Act అని చెప్పి ఫస్ట్ సెక్షన్ లో మీరు ఇంట్రడక్షన్ లోనే ఈ పార్ట్ రాయాలి. రాసిన తర్వాత the original act it provided for two provisions or two exemptions. One is split and the second one is what, sir? Merger. And what is the crux of defection? Defection wanted to maintain party discipline. And apart from maintaining party discipline, it is an act which has been enacted in order to respect the public mandate. Main ga ikkada issue entante, it's not about just party discipline, but in order to maintain public mandate. Public mandate is what voters have voted for a particular candidate who belongs to a particular political party. But the public mandate ki vibinnanga or binnanga, a candidate is moving to a different political party, so which is in fact a kind of cheating on the public mandate, right? That is the reason why in order to maintain, okay, the sacredness of public mandate, this is the heart of why the Anti-Defection Act has been passed. In order to maintain the sacredness of public mandate, the Anti-Defection Act has been enacted. Now, initially, two exemptions were made to the anti-defection, that is split and merger. But who would be disqualified, sir? Usually, Chappan sir, Mir Japali. Who would be disqualified under Anti-Defection Act? Chappan, evarni disqualify chestar anti-defection kinda? Who disqualifies, sir? At least tell me that.
Anyone who fought independently but then later.
Okay, who fought independently and then later joined a party, or who jumped from one political party to another political party. Yes or no, sir? మనము డిఫెక్షన్ గురించి రాసినప్పుడు ఇప్పుడు టూ ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్స్ గురించి మనం కంపల్సరీ మెన్షన్ చేయాలి. వన్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్ ఈస్ ద ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్ ఆఫ్ స్పీకర్, ద సెకండ్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్ ఈస్ ద ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్ ఆఫ్ విప్. Yes or no, sir? But recently, in case of Maharashtra, a third institution also interfered in the issue of defections. Okay, that is none other than the governor of the state. Then a fourth institution also interfered in the issue of defections. That is none other than Election Commission of India. Please try to understand this. Originally, Anti-Defection Act lo players evarante members plus whip plus speaker. But now what is happening is the anti-defection issue also got engrossed into the roles of governor and election commission also. So why governor and election commission? What is the mandate? How did this change? Let's try to understand. The original provisions said very clearly that there is an exemption, or original provisions said very clearly that in case of defection, the thing is, first and foremost, a candidate would be considered as a candidate who has defected primarily when he shifts from one political party to another political party. The second one is, so when he doesn't follow the orders of whom, sir? Whip. Whip orders follow avanappudu atani defected candidate ga consider chestar. Or otherwise, when he in fact goes out from one political party and joins another political party, then he is considered as a candidate who is a defected candidate. And once a candidate defects, what will happen is his membership in the legislature would be what, sir? Cancelled. Legislature lone atani membership ni cancel chestar. This is the crux of the provision. Initially, there were two exemptions. One exemption is split, wherein 1/3 of the members, if they separate from the political party, then it will be considered as a split. And this is provided by paragraph 2, which is present in Anti-Defection Act. 3 or 2? I remember it to be 2. I'll cross verify, sir. So just remember, 1/3 members split aithe valaku defection nunchi exemption provide chesaru. But later this provision has been abolished. But there is a second provision which said that merger of 2/3 of the legislative members of the party. Remember very carefully. So this is provided in the paragraph 4 of Anti-Defection Act. It stated very clearly that nearly or two-thirds or more members from a particular legislative party. The wording is very important here. The wording very clearly says that it is going to, okay, so only consider what, sir? Legislative party. Okay, it is only going to consider legislative party members, and in legislative party members, if two-thirds members move from one political party to another, it would be considered as what, sir? Merger. Yes or no, sir? Then, did the Anti-Defection Act provide any time limit for the speaker in order to adjudicate a case, sir? The Anti-Defection Act doesn't have any time limit. Okay, listen carefully. Adjudication ki speaker ki etuvanti time limit vallu provide cheyaledu. There is no time limit for the speaker in order to adjudicate an issue related to defection. Clear, sir? Understandable? Now, these are the constitutional provisions with respect to defection. Now, after the constitutional provisions, we need to observe even the Supreme Court judgments on the issue. What are the various Supreme Court judgments which are present on the issue? I'll give you a list of cases, sir. Please first write them down one by one. Then I'll explain the intent of each case, sir. Okay, write the first one. Write the first one. Just a second, sir. I'll tell you the case's name. Ravi S. Naik versus Union of India. Ravi S. Naik versus Union of India. Union of India. Okay. So here, very peculiarly, the Supreme Court said that whether a candidate has defected or not would not be based on the basis of his resignation. ఒక క్యాండిడేట్ డిఫెక్ట్ అయ్యాడా లేదా అని చెప్పి అతని రెసిగ్నేషన్ బేసిస్ మీద ఆధారపడి ఉండదు. ఇట్ వుడ్ బి డిటర్మైన్డ్ ఆన్ ది బేసిస్ ఆఫ్ హిస్ కాండక్ట్. కాండక్ట్ అంటే ఏంటి? పార్టీకి అగేన్స్ట్ గా ఈయన పని చేస్తుంటే ఆటోమేటిక్ గా ఆయన డిఫెక్ట్ అయినట్టు. అతను రెసిగ్నేషన్ ఇచ్చాడా లేదా, విప్ ఆర్డర్స్ ఫాలో అవుతున్నాడా లేదా అనేది సెకండరీ. ఇఫ్ హీ ఈస్ కండక్టింగ్ హిమ్సెల్ఫ్ అగేన్స్ట్ ద పార్టీ లైన్, then the candidate would be eligible for disqualification is the first statement which has been made here. Understandable, sir? Please write. Right. Okay. The disqualification of a candidate would be inferred from the conduct of a candidate, and there is no need for formal resignation. There is no need for formal resignation. Okay, this is Ravi S. Naik versus Union of India case, which was in 1994. Then next one, sir. Please write next one. Okay, you might be knowing about the famous Kyoto-Holohan case, right? So what did the Kyoto-Holohan case say, sir? Can anyone tell what did the Kyoto-Holohan case tell about the anti-defection provisions? Kyoto-Holohan case, sir. Kyoto-Holohan case stated very clearly that the decisions of the speaker are subject to judicial review. Okay, please write. Right? Kyoto-Holohan. Okay, so I'll tell you the correct spelling of the case also, sir. Kyoto-Holohan versus 𝐃𝐨𝐰𝐧𝐥𝐨𝐚𝐝. Okay, so Kyoto-Holohan versus 𝐃𝐨𝐰𝐧𝐥𝐨𝐚𝐝 case. Okay, right below, the speaker's decision on defection are subject to judicial review. Speaker's decisions on defection are subject to judicial review. Okay, then the next case which is prominent here is Nabeem Rabia case. Nabim, N-A-B-I-M. Nabim Rabia, R-E-B-I-A. Rabia versus Deputy Speaker case. Here there is a very, very interesting thing which the Supreme Court observed, sir. Versus Nabim Rabia case. Okay, so I'll explain this case. Listen carefully, sir. What happened is, okay, so the background of this case is, see, a few MLAs from a political party, they have split away from the ruling political party. And after splitting away from the ruling political party, what happened is, the speaker who was with the ruling political party, he in fact disqualified all the MLAs, sir. But by the time the speaker disqualified all the MLAs themselves have put a petition in order to remove the speaker. Are you understanding this, sir? Okay, because the speaker is with the ruling party. And ruling party nunchi, manaku defections జరిగాయి. Defections జరిగిన తర్వాత వీళ్ళు ఏం చేశారంటే defected political party members, they put a petition against the speaker in order to remove him. Because there is a procedure in order to remove the speaker, right? And what happened is the speaker, even though there is a petition against him in order to remove him from the position, he in fact gave an order disqualifying all the MLAs. Then the matter went to the Supreme Court of India. The Supreme Court stated very clearly that in the Nabim Rabia judgment, it stated very clearly that the speaker who himself is facing a petition for removal cannot himself disqualify the MLAs. అతనికే అగేన్స్ట్ గా రిమూవల్ పిటిషన్ పెండింగ్ ఉన్నప్పుడు మరి అతను డిస్క్వాలిఫై చేయడం తప్పు అని చెప్పి ఈ నబీం రబియా జడ్జిమెంట్ లో ద సుప్రీం కోర్ట్ హ్యాస్ గివెన్ ఏ క్లియర్ కట్ రూలింగ్. అండర్స్టాండబుల్, సార్? ప్లీజ్ రైట్ ఇట్ డౌన్. It held that a speaker who is facing a pending removal motion should not decide disqualification petitions. Understandable? This statement is understandable for you people, right? Then write the next case, sir. The fourth one. Okay, 𝐃𝐨𝐰𝐧𝐥𝐨𝐚𝐝 versus Speaker of Manipur. 𝐃𝐶𝐴 versus Speaker of Manipur. Okay, so here in this case, the Supreme Court tried to give a time limit for the speaker in order to determine the disqualification of a candidate. ఎందుకంటే మనకు తెలుసు కాబట్టి ఏం చేస్తున్నారు చాలా సార్లు speakers themselves are remaining indecisive on the issue of what's our disqualification. Because of which reason, in this case of 𝐃𝐨𝐼𝐧𝐥𝐨𝐚𝐝 versus Speaker of Manipur, the Supreme Court has given a guideline. Please write it down, sir. The disqualification petitions should be disposed in a reasonable period. Disqualification petitions, what did you write? Should be disposed within a reasonable period. Preferably 3 months. It did not give a hard rule. It just said that preferably within 3 months, the disqualification petitions have to be disposed. In the time limit, sir? 3 months time limit. Indirectly, they are saying. They are not, in fact, giving an order that it should be done in 3 months period, but they said that preferably in 3 months, it should be resolved. Understandable, sir? Then, please write one more statement. And the judgment ask the center to reconsider whether speaker should remain the deciding authority. Whether the speaker should remain the deciding authority. Okay. Now the last case, sir. This is a very, very prominent one. This case we need to know in detail, sir. So last one is Subhash Desai. Last one right now. Subhash Desai versus Principal Secretary, Governor of Maharashtra. Subhash Desai versus Principal Secretary, Governor of Maharashtra. Principal Secretary to Governor of Maharashtra. This is a 2023 case, sir. It's a very prominent one. We need to have a thoroughgoing understanding of this case, sir. This case is associated with, the split or the merger in Shiv Sena party. Please try to understand this. I'll explain the case background also. What happened, I'll explain. And the Supreme Court guidelines also, I'll clearly explain, sir. Please try to understand this. This question or this case is a very important constitutional case. Primarily because the issue of mergers has been discussed thoroughly in this case. And please try to understand this. In Maharashtra case, what happened is, Shiv Sena political party in alliance with the NCP and the INC, it has formed a government. Then majority of the members of the Shiv Sena party, they split away from Shiv Sena, and they in fact claimed that they are original Shiv Sena. I'll give you the numbers also if you want to. Majority of the members అంటే 60 members ఉంటే దగ్గర 40 members split అయ్యి వాళ్ళు ఏమన్నారంటే మా పార్టీనే ఒరిజినల్ శివసేన, and they claim that they are going to join with hands with BJP, and Eknath Shinde, he became the chief minister of the state. Please try to understand this, sir. So here what happened is, when majority of the legislative party members, they split away from the Shiv Sena, then both the parties started claiming that we are original Shiv Sena. Are you understanding this, sir? Both the parties started claiming that we are original Shiv Sena, and both of them put a petition to the speaker in order to disqualify the other members. Are you understanding this, sir? Then what happened is, the speaker gave an order of disqualification, disqualifying the Eknath Shinde faction from the legislature. Are you understanding this, sir? ఆయన disqualify చేస్తూ Eknath Shinde faction ni speaker has given a disqualification order also. But by then the Eknath Shinde faction, what they did is, they in fact put a petition in order to remove whom, sir? Speaker himself. Are you understanding this, sir? వాళ్ళందరిని డిస్క్వాలిఫై చేస్తే అంతలోపు వీళ్ళు ఏం చేశారంటే స్పీకర్ ని తీసేయమని చెప్పి ఒక మోషన్ పిటిషన్ పెట్టారు. పెట్టినప్పుడు what happened is, immediately the Nabia Rebim or this Rebim judgment, it has come kicked in, and according to the judgment, the speaker who himself is facing a motion of removal, he cannot adjudicate on the issue of removal of the candidates. Yes or no, sir? So by using this judgment, what they did is, they said that our disqualification is illegal, because the Supreme Court statement in Nabia Rebim judgment is very clear. It stated very clearly that the speaker who himself is facing a motion of removal, he cannot determine on the issue of disqualification. Now what happened is, this faction of Shiv Sena of Eknath Shinde, they went to the governor of Maharashtra, and the governor of Maharashtra, without any floor test, without properly conducting a floor test, he determined that this faction, that is BJP plus Shiv Sena, which is Eknath Shinde faction, they have the necessary numbers and they can form the government. And immediately the sitting chief minister of the state, that is Uddhav Thackeray, he resigned from his post. Then after that, the matter went to the Supreme Court of India. And in the Supreme Court of India, listen carefully, sir, this case is very, very important for us. That is Subhash Desai case. The Supreme Court has made some important observations with respect to anti-defection law and the role of governor. It said first and foremost that the governor's house cannot be the place where a political party's majority can be determined. Governor inti దగ్గర ఒక political party majority అనేది determine చేయడానికి లేదు. The only way in order to determine the majority of a political party in the legislature should be what, sir? Floor test. Already the Supreme Court in multiple cases has given the same judgment, right? Floor test compulsory conduct చేయాలని చెప్పి first regulation ఇచ్చారు. దాంతో పాటు the second Supreme Court statement is, try to understand this, the Supreme Court for the first time started talking about the difference between legislative party and political party. Please try to understand this. Legislative party means the number of members who have been elected to the legislature. But political party is much bigger than legislative party. Why? Primarily because political party will have its own members. Political party will have its own constitution or charter. It will have its own flag. Is it true or not, sir? Political party is much bigger than the legislative party. But paragraph 4 of Anti-Defection Act, it clearly stated that merger would be considered when 2/3 of the members of the party, they in fact merge with other political party, it would be accepted. But it did not speak anything about political party. Now the Supreme Court in this case, it stated that rather than merely considering the legislative party, we should take into consideration what's a political party. But the Supreme Court very surprisingly was silent on how will the speaker determine whether the political party has merged or not. చెప్పడం మాత్రం ఏం చెప్పారు, లెజిస్లేటివ్ పార్టీకి పొలిటికల్ పార్టీకి డిఫరెన్స్ ఉంది, మనం లెజిస్లేటివ్ పార్టీ మర్జర్ ని పొలిటికల్ పార్టీ మర్జర్ గా మనం కన్సిడర్ చేయడానికి లేదు అని చెప్పారు. Are you understanding this, sir? This is the second statement which has been made by the Supreme Court with respect to the Anti-Defection Act. It stated very clearly that we should differentiate between legislative party and political party. And the speaker should take into consideration political party అన్నారు కానీ మరి ఎలా కన్సిడరేషన్ తీసుకోవాలనే దాని గురించి క్లియర్ గా మనకు డైరెక్షన్ అయితే లేదు. Understandable, sir? This is the second direction of the Supreme Court with respect to the Anti-Defection Act. Then the third issue that happened is finally this 𝐾𝐸𝐧𝐥𝐸𝐧𝐢 faction, it went to the Election Commission of India asking for the party's political symbol to be assigned to them. ఉద్ధవ్ ఠాక్రేని వదిలేసి మాకు పార్టీ పొలిటికల్ సింబల్ కావాలి, ఎందుకంటే మేమే లెజిస్లేటివ్ పార్టీ అని చెప్పి ఎలక్షన్ కమిషన్ ముందుకెళ్లి పిటిషన్ పెట్టారు. అండ్ ద ఎలక్షన్ కమిషన్ ఆఫ్ ఇండియా ఆల్సో వెరీ సర్ప్రైజింగ్లీ gave both the symbol and flag of the political party to 𝐾𝐸𝐧𝐥𝐸𝐧𝐢 faction itself. Original political party lost its symbol, it lost its legislative members. So annitni kolpoyi political party, so it became or it was pushed into the background, whereas the 𝐾𝐸𝐧𝐥𝐸𝐧𝐢 faction, it came to the foreground. Are you understanding this, sir? So this is one of the critical thing that we need to understand here. Please write it down, sir. I'll tell you. I'll dictate this section. Ask only. In this case, the Supreme Court examined. In this case, the Supreme Court examined the difference between legislative party and political party, legislative party and political party, and stated that the speaker should take into consideration the political party while determining the petitions of disqualification. Then number 2, the Supreme Court stated that the governor's house cannot be the place to determine majorities and it should be determined on the floor of the house. It should be determined on the floor of the house. Then third statement, the Supreme Court asked the center to appoint an independent authority to appoint an independent authority to determine the issues of defection. Determine the issues of defection. Issues of defection. Okay, so this is the case scenario. I think you have understood, okay, the case clearly. So even the Supreme Court, it has given some guidelines, sir. But even then, okay, so the Election Commission, it has assigned the party symbol to the 𝐾𝐸 faction itself. So these are the prominent cases that you people need to remember. Now, what kind of reforms we can suggest in Defection Act, sir? Chapandi? What changes are required, sir? Tell me. What changes are required in defection provisions? Introducing time limit is one thing, so which has been just a suggestion of the Supreme Court, should be legally mandated. That is one thing. Then the second one is the provision of merger. Should we permit it to sustain or should we remove it, sir? Definitely we have to repeal the provision of merger. Then should we continue the speaker as the authority to determine the petitions, sir? No, we need a neutral authority in order to determine the petitions. So these are some of the suggestions that we can possibly give with respect to how the Anti-Defection Act can progress forward. Understandable, sir? So I think you got a fair idea. These Supreme Court judgments you need to remember and you have to replicate them in the answer. Understandable? Now, the next topic that we are going to discuss, I'll discuss one more topic, sir. The next topic is, okay, POXO Act. Let us discuss, sir. Please write. POXO Act. POXO Act. Okay, so originally it was passed in the year 2012. Okay, please write. Passed in the year 2012. 2012. Okay, so why was it required? Okay, so in fact, first and foremost, let's try to understand why was POXO required at that point of time. Primarily because nowadays there have been a lot of controversies around POXO. Let me explain about the background story. In 2012, when POXO was enacted, before that, the issues related to, okay, child sex abuse, they used to be present in the Indian Penal Code and they were distributed across various provisions. And the second important problem is, okay, so first and foremost, the provisions themselves are distributed. Then the second important problem is, earlier, okay, there was a differentiation between male and female. Okay, so many of the provisions of the child sexual abuse, they are exclusively applicable to the female members, but not to the male members. Then the third important problem is, the determination of age is also a problematic issue. Who should be considered as a child is one more question that was not answered properly in the IPC. So this way, there are multiple number of issues in, okay, the child sexual abuse provisions which are present in Indian Penal Code, because of which reason the government of India in the year 2012, it has passed a special provision, that is prevention of, okay, child sexual offences. Okay, Child Sexual Offences Act, POXO, was passed. Now try to understand this. The central provisions of POXO are, first and foremost, it gives a clear definition of who a child is. It states that any person who is below the age of 18, whether male or female, he would be considered as a child. This is the first provision which has been provided. Then the second provision which has been provided under the POXO Act is, POXO Act, it in fact criminalizes numerous offences, sir. Numerous offences wherein it includes, okay, both sexual harassment and, okay, so penetrative sex is also covered here and non-penetrative sex is also covered here. So three kinds of offences it specifically deals with, and it also talks about, okay, child pornography is one more topic that it talks about. So four kinds of offences are included, okay, sexual harassment, penetrative sex, non-penetrative sex, along with, okay, child pornography is also covered. So four different kinds of offences are covered. Then the next important provision of POXO is, it makes, okay, consent of the child, okay, immaterial for the case. whether the child is consenting for the sexual act or not, it is not going to take into consideration, primarily because it considers that all child sex abuse is by its nature exploitative. Please try to understand this, sir. So consent provision అనేది మనకు లేదు. అంటే even if the child participates in a sexual activity on the basis of their own consents also, it would not be taken into consideration. Understandable, sir? Which means that even when a person gets married to a minor, a child, and after that if he so resorts to a sexual intercourse, then also it would be considered as an offense under POCSO. Understandable, sir? So consent provision ni complete ga deny this, sir. Then along with denying the consent provision, the POCSO Act also provides for very strict punishments to the offenders, and it also changes the method of evidence collection and questioning of the child. అంటే ఎవిడెన్స్ కలెక్షన్ కానీ క్వశ్చనింగ్ మెకానిజం కానీ క్రాస్ వెరిఫికేషన్ కానీ కంప్లీట్ గా ట్రాన్స్ఫార్మ్ చేస్తుంది. Primarily because it is showing a lot of sensitivity towards the child sexual abuse victims. They should not be cross-examined in open court. Their identity should be protected. If the police want to conduct the investigation, they have to go to their home where the child feels safe, and the questioning also should happen at home itself. It cannot happen in court is one more central provision of the POCSO. Understandable, sir? So these are some of the provisions which have been included in the POCSO, and by including these provisions, what the government did is it in fact was in sync with the provisions are in sync with the recommendations of UNICEF. UNICEF is the one which asked the Indian government in order to pass a specialized law in order to criminalize child sex offences. Try to understand this, but why particularly this issue is coming into news repeatedly is primarily because there is a lot of abuse of POSCO which is happening. The main issue is with respect to abuse of POSCO, particularly, so the Supreme Court of India itself has observed that POSCO has become a tool in the hands of the patriarchal society in order to target, any kind of patriarchal society ki idu oka tool ga marindi, primarily in order to target even consensual sex which is happening among the adults. Among the adolescents, if any consensual sex is also happening, but even then the POCSO is being used in order to target the individuals is something which the Supreme Court has observed itself. Danto patu, primarily one more important problem with the POCSO is it doesn't have any exemption. There is no exemption provided in POCSO. Exemptions application lo asal exemptions levu, because of which reason the act sometimes is leading to injustice. In fact, the Supreme Court itself has observed in a very prominent case. I'll dictate the case also for you people. So wherein what happened is, I'll just narrate the story for you. In Calcutta, there was a 21-year-old man who got married to a 14-year-old girl. And after getting married, what happened is the girl became pregnant, but the family members of the girl, they put a POCSO case against him. Then the person was arrested and he stayed in various kinds of detention for nearly 6 years. And to every case, hearing, what happened is the girl was coming along with her child in order to get her husband released. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? She was a petitioner in order to get her husband released, sir. It was a very peculiar case scenario. So when she was petitioning various courts in order to get her husband released, the High Court of Calcutta, what it did is, it said that it created an exemption for application of POSCO. Then the matter went to the Supreme Court of India. And in the Supreme Court of India, what the Supreme Court did is, please try to understand this, this is a very peculiar case, sir. The Supreme Court of India, it has cancelled the exemption. And in fact, so whatever legal provisions are there according to POSCO, under it, the person was penalized and he was punished. Please try to understand this, sir. But after imposing the punishment on the person, the Supreme Court invoked Article 142 of the Constitution. What does Article 142 of the Constitution say, sir? Can anyone tell? What is the provision of Article 142 of the Constitution, sir, with respect to Supreme Court of India or Judiciary of India? have you heard about the provision called complete justice provision? The Supreme Court can take up any action in order to ensure what, sir? Complete justice to an individual. After punishing the person, it has invoked Article 142. Listen carefully. And by invoking Article 142, what it stated is, it stated that it is going to defer the punishment of the person indefinitely. What is the meaning of difference of punishment indefinitely, sir? That the punishment would not be executed. He was penalized, he was punished, but the punishment execution is deferred indefinitely and the person has been released from jail, sir. Are you understanding this, sir? అర్థమవుతుంది నేను చెప్పింది. ఫస్ట్ పాక్సో ప్రొవిజన్స్ ప్రకారం ఆయనకు పనిష్మెంట్ ఇచ్చారు. పనిష్మెంట్ ఇచ్చిన తర్వాత ఏం చేశారు? ఆ పనిష్మెంట్ ఎగ్జిక్యూషన్ ని ఇండెఫినెట్ గా డిఫర్ చేశారు. By invoking Article 142, which says that you have to provide complete justice to people. And complete justice in this particular case by the Supreme Court, Supreme Court interpretation in this case, complete justice is, we should give the husband back to the person. We should give the father back to the child. That is complete justice. Even though legally the person is wrong, but that is procedural legality. What is more important is complete justice is much more important. Because of which reason the person has to be released and a person will let go. This is a very, very, very important case, sir. Last year it has happened. Because of which reason this year in mains itself this question is highly possible. You have to remember the case name and complete justice anedi usual ga Supreme Court and the easy ga eppudu invoke cheyaru. But they invoked the complete justice provision in this particular case. That's the reason why this is a very, very important topic for UPSC mains this year, particularly social issues. Danto paatu the Supreme Court has given a recommendation to the Indian government also in order to create, the parliament itself should create some exemption for some extraordinary cases which are also sometimes called as Romeo-Juliet cases. Romeo-Juliet cases means what? There is Romeo-Juliet cases kuda, there is a specific thing about the Romeo-Juliet cases. The thing is, maybe the age gap between the people is too less. Let's suppose the boy is 19 and the girl is 17. Can we say that ఒక లైన్ డ్రా చేసి 18 ఇయర్స్ తక్కువ ఉన్నంత వరకు వాళ్ళందరూ కూడా మైనర్స్, 18 ఇయర్స్ పైబడ్డ వాళ్ళందరూ కూడా మేజర్స్ అని చెప్పి క్లియర్ గా లైన్ డ్రా చేసి చెప్పడానికి కుదరదు. Sometimes what happens is consenting individuals who are very close to each other in age, even though one of them is a minor, we should provide an exemption అని చెప్పి సుప్రీం కోర్టే రోమియో జూలియట్ ఎగ్జంప్షన్ ని గవర్నమెంట్ కి రికమెండ్ చేసింది. Are you understanding this, sir? So this way, so the Supreme Court itself has given some recommendations on the said issue. I'll dictate some of them, sir. Please write them down. Ask only. POCSO was passed in 2012. To fulfill India's obligations under the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Children. I told UNICEF, but it is United Nations Convention on Rights of Children. Convention on Rights of Children. Stop. Right. Next statement. POCSO defines child to be any person below 18 years, any person below 18 years, irrespective of gender, and it criminalizes sexual assault, sexual harassment, and child pornography. Okay, child pornography. Then right, next one. The act provides for mandatory reporting Mandatory reporting. Mandatory reporting. That is, this is a very peculiar provision, sir. That is, any person aware of an offence, any person aware of an offence must report it, and failure may attract punishment. And failure might attract punishment. It means that if you are in the knowledge of the offense which is ongoing, but you fail to report, then you also can be punished. It's not just the perpetrator, even the people who are aware about the crime but not reporting it, they also can be punished under POCSO. Sir. Okay, so it's not a very tight law which has been made, sir. Primarily because many times what happens is child sexual offences, the parents themselves try to push them under the carpet. The reason is thinking about social stigma, okay, marriage of the child and the future of the children. They themselves sometimes fail to report it to the police station. Because of which reason, what happened is, that is the reason why this provision has been included. Even if the parents who are aware about the child sexual abuse but unable to report it, they will also be booked, sir. So why I'm dealing with this POCSO case particularly now at this juncture is primarily because there are a lot many cases which are happening, sir. You might be knowing about the Telangana case itself, so which has become very prominent one. So that's the reason why it can be asked as a question. దాంతో పాటు లాస్ట్ 1 year నుంచి చాలా అడ్జుడికేషన్ జరిగింది సార్. దానివల్ల ఈ టాపిక్ మనకి ఇంపార్టెంట్ అవుతుంది. ఐ టెల్ అబౌట్ ద అడ్జుడికేషన్ ఆల్సో, దెన్ రైట్ నెక్స్ట్ స్టేట్మెంట్. Okay, the act provides for child friendly procedures like no aggressive questioning, identity protection, special courts and in-camera trial. Okay, so even the court proceedings also should happen in camera. Okay, in camera trial. Then write the next statement. The act states that consent of the child is irrelevant. The consent of child is legally irrelevant. Legally irrelevant. Okay, irrelevant. Full stop. Next one. A 2019 amendment. Even provided for death penalty in case of aggravated offences against children. In case of aggravated offences against children. Okay, so then the next provision, please write the next one, sir. Okay, put it this way. Issues and last point, sir. Issues. Number 1, the Romeo-Juliet problem. Where there are small age differences, no coercion, no exploitation, and the relationship is consensual. Okay, full stop. Next statement you write down, sir. Please understand this carefully. Okay, POCSO has become a tool in the hands of a tool in the hands of patriarchal society to target adolescent relations. We'll stop. Next one. The Supreme Court in January of 2026. The Supreme Court in January of 2026 asked the Union government to provide a Romeo-Juliet clause exemption. Romeo-Juliet clause exemption to POXO. Okay, then right next statements are the Supreme Court in Right to Privacy of Adolescents case 2025. In Right to Privacy of Adolescents in 2025, has punished a person okay, married to a child, but the sentence has been deferred. D-E-F-E-R-R-E-D. Deferred. Sentence has been deferred, and the Supreme Court invoked Article 142 to provide complete justice. Okay. What to do? So I'll let you know, ma'am, what we can do. We'll think. Okay, at the end of the class, I'll speak about it. Okay, write it down. What did I say? To provide complete justice and release the person from prison. Full stop. Okay, so this is the latest legal development with respect to consenting relation between adolescents, which should not attract the POXO provisions. So these are some of the prominent dimensions that you need to understand with respect to POXO. So you'll be definitely, they will ask a question in this dimension in society, sir. Society lo gaani, polity lo gaani, manaku deen meeda question adagadanik possibility undi, primarily because it has been in news for quite some time. So this is the next topic. Then after this, I'll cover one more topic for you people today. So that is the issue of Ladakh and its governance. Okay, so Leh Ladakh region. So what is the issue of its governance? What are the challenges which are happening? Let me try to explain this issue. Then after that, I will resort to dictation. But first, listen to this topic carefully, sir. When it comes to the region of Ladakh, so you know that in 2019, Article 370 has been abrogated. Yes or no, sir? And how many districts were originally present in the region of Ladakh, sir? Can anyone tell? How many districts are there in the original Ladakh region? There are only 2 districts which are present. One is Kargil and the second one is Leh district. So only 2 districts are present, Kargil and Leh district are present. And how much representation these people have at the central level, sir? How many members of parliament are there? Can you tell how many members are there? There is only 1 member in the central parliament. Parliament lo కేవలం ఒక ఎంపీ మాత్రమే ఈ కాన్స్టిట్యుయెన్సీకి ఉన్నారు. Now till 2019, Ladakh was part of the Jammu and Kashmir state. Because of which reason, at least at the state level, they used to have some representation. But in 2019, when Article 370 was abrogated, Ladakh was converted into a union territory. But the union territory is created without legislature. ఆ యూనియన్ టెరిటరీకి అసలు లెజిస్లేచరే లేకుండా ఒక యూనియన్ టెరిటరీని క్రియేట్ చేశారు. And completely the control of the union territory is given to whom, sir? The lieutenant governor. And from 2019 till date, okay, the lieutenant governor remains the authority who takes all the decisions with respect to the state of Ladakh. And the people feel that their aspirations, their needs are not being taken into consideration. And they don't have any proper political representation, primarily because the number of MPs that they are sending is also only one MP. This is the central issue of the region of Ladakh. And Ladakh region, both the districts, that is Leh district and Kargil district, they have, okay, district hill councils, which are municipalities, sir. But these district hill councils also do not give proper representation and power to the people, primarily because most of the administrative and executive decisions are taken by whom, sir? Lieutenant governor. Lieutenant governor అన్ని డెసిషన్స్ తీసుకోవడం వల్ల అసలు ఈ అడ్మినిస్ట్రేటివ్ డిస్ట్రిక్ట్ హిల్ కౌన్సిల్ కి, మున్సిపల్ కౌన్సిల్ కి ఎటువంటి పవర్స్ లేకుండా పోయి. And the people of Ladakh region, the main problem for them is, please try to understand this, sir. There is entry of outsiders in large number, and they feel that they will become a minority in their own territory. బయట నుంచి చాలా మంది జనాలు వస్తున్నారు కాబట్టి మేము మా టెరిటరీలో మేమే మైనారిటీ అవుతాము అనే ఒక ఫియర్ వాళ్ళ దగ్గర మనకు క్లియర్ గా డిస్టింక్ట్ గా కనిపిస్తుంది. దెన్ ద సెకండ్ వన్ ఈస్ ద మెయిన్ ప్రాబ్లమ్ ఈస్ విత్ రెస్పెక్ట్ టు ల్యాండ్, primarily because the central government, in the name of security and infrastructure building, it is changing the entire geography of the Ladakh region, particularly by constructing the roads, rail lines and air strips. It is completely changing over the land pattern of Ladakh region. Then the third major issue that they have is these people, they demand that, okay, so they want a separate, what's that? Statehood. Okay, so if not for statehood, these people claim that we should be extended the provisions under what's our 6th schedule. And they claim the 6th schedule status, which is usually extended to the northeastern states, primarily because 90% of the population of the Ladakh region is what's our scheduled tribe. 90% of the population is scheduled tribe, because of which reason they are claiming 6th schedule status. And you know that in the Constitution of India, the 6th schedule is associated with legislative, executive and judicial powers which would be given to the local autonomous district councils. 6th schedule status అనేది ఎవరికైనా ఎక్స్టెండ్ చేస్తే ఈ ప్రాంతానికైనా legislative, executive and judicial powers అనేవి వాళ్ళకు డెలిగేట్ చేస్తారు. Because of which reason these people are demanding that we should get the 6th schedule status and autonomous district council should be formed here. This is their next demand. Okay, if not for statehood, at least provide us 6th schedule status. And they are also demanding that even in the parliament, the number of representatives from our, okay, union territory, it should get enhanced. Parliament lo kuda makunna number of members ni compulsory ga enhance cheyalani cheppi, these are the core demands with which in Ladakh there were protests which are being conducted. And you people might be knowing that 𝐶𝐸𝐴𝐴𝐵𝐷𝐿𝐴, he became the leader of these protests, right? Yes or no? And because of his leadership, he was in fact arrested under the National Security Act, and a stamp of anti-national has been put on him, and he has been detained for an extended period of time. Nearly for 6 months he was in detention, and finally he was released. And after his release in the May of 2026, he participated in discussions with the Union Government of Italy, particularly the Ministry of Home Affairs. It is handling the discussion with the 𝐶𝐸𝐴𝐵𝐷𝐿𝐴 and the public protesters in Ladakh with respect to what can be done about the constitutional status of Ladakh region. And the Union government has promised the region of Ladakh that we are going to definitely, okay, so provide some kind of democratic rights to the people. First and foremost, we will convert the 2 district union territory into what's that? 6 district union territory. 2 district union territory ni మేము 6 district union territory గా మారుస్తామని చెప్పి ఫస్ట్ reorganization of districts is one thing that has been promised. Then the second thing that the government is saying that we are going to conduct elections and some form of legislature is going to be established in the region. మీకు కూడా ఒక legislature establish చేస్తాము అనేది కూడా the second promise which has been made by the central government. But the problem is the central government is saying that we will provide all executive authority to the elected members except for control over whom, sir? Bureaucracy. మీకు కావాలంటే మీ ఎలక్టెడ్ కౌన్సిల్స్ కి అన్ని ఎగ్జిక్యూటివ్ పవర్స్ ఇస్తాం కానీ అడ్మినిస్ట్రేటర్స్ మీద మాత్రం మీకు కంట్రోల్ ఇవ్వము అని చెప్తున్నారు. బట్ వాట్ విల్ ద మినిస్టర్స్ డూ వితౌట్ కంట్రోల్ ఓవర్ అడ్మినిస్ట్రేషన్ సార్? మెయిన్ గా అసలు మినిస్టర్స్ పవర్ ఏంటి? కంట్రోల్ ఓవర్ ద బ్యూరోక్రాట్స్ ఈస్ ది సెంట్రల్ పార్ట్ ఆఫ్ దేర్ పవర్. But the Supreme Court, but the government is saying very clearly that we are not going to transfer the control over bureaucracy to you people. It will remain under the control of Lieutenant Governor himself. Then the third thing that the union government is saying that we are not going to provide any sixth schedule status for you, but instead we are going to extend an exemption under Article 371. Understandable, sir? In fact, they are quoting the provisions which are usually given to the state of Nagaland. So, in order to extend a similar power to the state of Ladakh also, and they're saying that under Article 371, we are going to accommodate you people. And how should the accommodation be done? They're saying that we are going to accommodate by giving some special powers to the legislature of the state itself. కాబట్టి ఆర్టికల్ 371 లో మీ డిమాండ్స్ అకామిడేట్ చేస్తాం కానీ సిక్స్త్ షెడ్యూల్ మాత్రం మీకు ఎక్స్టెండ్ చేయమంటున్నారు. వై ఆర్ దే నాట్ ఎక్స్టెండింగ్ ద సిక్స్త్ షెడ్యూల్ టు ద రీజియన్? దే ఆర్ సేయింగ్ దట్ Ladakh is security wise and strategically a very important region. Primary reason is what we have, the Kargil region, which is in fact having its boundary with LOC. Then along with that, even the LAC boundary also passes through the Ladakh region. You know that the recent there is a lot of controversy with respect to China also with respect to alignment of boundary, right? There is issue of Pangong So Lake is there. There is also the issue of Galwan Valley, because of which reason the government is saying that we cannot possibly give all the powers of a state to the union territory of Ladakh. We need to retain some powers under our control, primarily because we have to take care of the security of the region. So this is how the controversy in fact flared up, and right now also the controversy is still ongoing. We have to wait a final decision of the central government, sir. Okay, so please write it down. I'll dictate some sections. Please write it down. Ladakh is a union territory. Ladakh is a union territory which lost its statehood. With abrogation of Article 370. Abrogation of Article 370. Abrogation of Article 370 in 2019, and it is made into a union territory without a legislature. All right, next statement. Okay, Ladakh is divided into two districts. Leh and Kargil, which have autonomous hill development councils of their own. And they have only one representative in Indian Parliament. Full stop. Okay, right, next statement. The Ladakis are facing the problems of number one, demographic change. Number two, demographic change is one. Then the second major challenge is changing land use pattern. Then next one, complete administrative control in the hands of lieutenant governor who is an unelected authority Okay, then write next statement. Okay, the people demand statehood or inclusion under 6th schedule. In order to establish autonomous district councils. Full stop. Next one, there were public protests under Leh apex body and Kargil Democratic Council Alliance. Leh apex body and Kargil Democratic Alliance demanding for statehood. Okay, full stop. Next statement you write down. In May of 2026, there was a breakthrough between center and the protesters, center and the protesters through a memorandum of understanding which provides for establishment of legislature and provision of executive powers to elected bodies. Then next one, reorganization of Ladakh into 6 districts. But controversies persist on the issue of political accountability. As the bureaucracy would be under the control of lieutenant governor. Full stop. Next one, sir. The center denied 6th schedule protections. As Ladakh is a strategically sensitive region. Strategically sensitive region. Full stop. Next one. Write the next statement. The center has proposed an accommodation under Article 371. Proposed an accommodation under Article 371. Under Article 371, similar to Article 370A of Nagaland and 371G of Mizoram and 371G of Mizoram. Okay, 371G of Mizoram, which provides for state legislative assemblies discretion over parliamentary acts. State legislative assemblies discretion over parliamentary acts on land, customary laws. అంటే వాళ్ళ కస్టమరీ లాస్ సంబంధించిన విషయం కానీ ల్యాండ్ సంబంధించిన విషయం కానీ సో ఎవరు డిటర్మైన్ చేస్తారు సార్? సో స్టేట్ లెజిస్లేటివ్ అసెంబ్లీ పార్లమెంటరీ ప్రొవిజన్స్ అనేవి అప్లికబుల్ అవుతాయా లేదా అనేది వాళ్ళు డిటర్మైన్ చేస్తారు. సో దిస్ ఇస్ సెంట్రల్ ప్రొవిజన్ దట్ యూ నీడ్ టు రిమెంబర్ విత్ రెస్పెక్ట్ టు ద లదాఖ్ కాంట్రవర్సీ. ఐ థింక్ యూ గాట్ ఎ ఫెయిర్ పిక్చర్ విత్ రెస్పెక్ట్ టు వాట్ ఇస్ హ్యాపెనింగ్ హియర్. నౌ ద నెక్స్ట్ టాపిక్, ఓకే, వన్ మోర్ టాపిక్ ఐల్ గివ్ ఎ బ్రీఫ్ సార్, దెన్ వి విల్ వైండ్ ఇట్ అప్. సో ఇన్ ద మీన్ వైల్ ఇఫ్ యూ హ్యావ్ ఎనీ క్వశ్చన్స్ ప్లీజ్ ఫీల్ ఫ్రీ టు ఆస్క్ సార్. ఏమైనా క్వశ్చన్స్ ఉంటే అడగండి. Any other topic you want to be discussed, okay, so we will discuss it in the coming week also. So you can suggest me some topics, or you can have, or if you have any questions you can ask me. Any topic that you want to talk about? Okay, so from the next week on I'll try to provide a handout even before the class starts. Okay, handout ముందే ఇచ్చేస్తే మీకు డిక్టేషన్ బాగా తప్పుతుంది. సో టుడే ఇట్ వాస్ లిటిల్ హ్యాపెజార్డ్ primarily because okay, so it was decided in the last minute, because of which reason I could not find enough time in order to prepare a proper handout. From next class on I'll give a handout. Most probably, preferably I'll give a soft copy sir. Soft copy నేను మీకు సెండ్ చేసిన తర్వాత క్లాస్ జరుగుతుంది. That way it will become more simpler. Alright, so now the next topic that we need to discuss is, okay, just let's talk about this difference between V.B.G. Ramji and okay, M.G. Radhika. Yes or no? So this is a good topic. Yes, Chesar already. Okay, so if it is done, then we will wind it up, sir. So I didn't know that it has been discussed. So okay, so on this note we'll wind it up. If you have any questions, please ask, sir. Meek emana questions unte adagandi. Otherwise we'll continue next week. Any suggestions, sir? Any topics that you want to be discussed in class? Any prominent ones? So for example, special intensive review I'm planning to discuss in the next class. Chapad sir. Sabarmala case, essential religious practices. So now itself I can give a small brief with respect to essential religious practices. నేను ఒక చిన్న బ్రీఫ్ ఇస్తాను ఇప్పుడు, ఎలాబరేట్ గా మాత్రం నెక్స్ట్ క్లాస్ లో డిస్కస్ చేస్తాను. మీకు అసలు ఈ ఎసెన్షియల్ రిలీజియస్ ప్రాక్టీస్ అంటే ఏంటి అనేది మీకు అర్థం అవ్వాలి. నేను జస్ట్ ఊరికే బ్రాడ్ గా మీకు చెప్తాను, వినండి. So what happened is, when the Indian Constitution was made, you know that in Article 25 there is okay, freedom of religion that has been provided to people. But at the same time, so Indian Constitutional Articles 19 and 21, they in fact provide, first and foremost, the Article 19 provides for freedom of speech and expression. 21 provides for right to life. So what happened is, in India there were many religious practices which were directly in contravention with the provisions of Article 14, Article 19 and Article 21. అంటే మన రిలీజియస్ ప్రాక్టీసెస్ ఎలా ఉన్నాయంటే, కొన్ని రిలీజియస్ ప్రాక్టీసెస్ రైట్ టు ఈక్వాలిటీని కాంప్రమైజ్ చేస్తుంది. కొన్ని రిలీజియస్ ప్రాక్టీసెస్ దే ఆర్ కాంప్రమైజింగ్ Article 19, that is freedoms of people. Some other religious practices are compromising on the right to life of people, that is Article 21. Now try to understand this. Article 25 doesn't provide for any absolute freedom of religion. The freedom of religion is also subjected to public order, morality. Okay, and what is the other provision, sir? What are the three provisions that are there that are limits to, okay, so application of or the right to religion, sir? Public order, morality and health. These are the three provisions which are provided as limitations for Article 25's application. But practically what was happening is most of the religious practices of Indian society, they are being challenged in the Supreme Court of India, saying that they are compromising either Article 14, 19 or 21. ఏదో ఒక ఆర్టికల్ ని కాంప్రమైజ్ చేస్తున్నారని చెప్పి ప్రతి రిలీజియస్ ప్రాక్టీస్ ని సుప్రీం కోర్ట్ లో ఛాలెంజ్ చేయడం స్టార్ట్ చేశారు. And at that point of time, the Supreme Court in a specific case called Shirur Mutt case, it has generated a new constitutional doctrine which is not provided in the constitution, which is called as essential religious practice. And whenever any practice is determined as an essential practice of a religion, then the application of Article 14, 19 and 21, they are going to be limited. Are you understanding this, sir? In order to protect the particular religious practice from the application of 14, 19 and 21, essential religious practice doctrine has been enacted by the Supreme Court of India. అర్థం చేసుకోండి, చాలా మంది ఇది క్లియర్ గా అర్థం అవ్వదు. ఏంటంటే కొన్ని రిలీజియస్ ప్రాక్టీసెస్ ని కాన్స్టిట్యూషనల్ ప్రొవిజన్స్ నుంచి కాపాడడానికి ఈ ఎసెన్షియల్ రిలీజియస్ ప్రాక్టీస్ అనే డాక్టరీని అప్లై చేశారు. Once a doctrine is considered as an essential religious practice, it is going to override the other articles of the Constitution. Many people think that it is not the case, but it is the case. Essential religious practice అని ప్రాక్టీస్ అయినా సరే డిటర్మైన్ చేస్తే ఆ ప్రాక్టీస్ అనేది ఓవర్ రైడింగ్ రైట్ ఓవర్ ఆర్టికల్ 14, 19 and 21 it will have. Understandable, sir? Making sense to you? So in fact, I'll tell you one very important example how if a practice is determined as essential religious practice, how it is going to override Article 21, I will explain. So in fact, there was a very famous practice among the Jain community in India which is called as Salekhan. In that practice, people usually starve themselves to death once they near the old age. Now, in Gujarat, similarly, a case has come out wherein a old woman was in fact performing Salekhan, but the case went to the court saying that so this is compromising on her right to life and this is equivalent to suicide అని చెప్పి ఒక కేసు హైకోర్టుకి వెళ్ళింది. Let's suppose if the Supreme Court determines that Salekhan is an essential religious practice, then Article 21 will not apply to that particular case. ఒకవేళ ఆ ప్రాక్టీస్ అంటే చేయలేదు సుప్రీం కోర్టు, ఇప్పటికి కూడా ఇంకా కేసు పెండింగ్ లో ఉంది. ఒకవేళ సుప్రీం కోర్టు దాన్ని ఎసెన్షియల్ రిలీజియస్ ప్రాక్టీస్ అని ప్రొక్లెయిమ్ చేశారనుకోండి, అప్పుడు ఆర్టికల్ 21 అప్లికబిలిటీ అనేది లిమిట్ అవుతుంది. సిమిలర్లీ శబరిమలై జడ్జిమెంట్ లో కూడా మీరు అర్థం చేసుకోవాల్సింది ఏంటంటే, శబరిమలై జడ్జిమెంట్ లో నౌ ఇఫ్ ద సుప్రీం కోర్ట్ డిటర్మైన్స్ దట్ ఎంట్రీ ఆఫ్ ఉమెన్ ఇంటూ శబరిమలై టెంపుల్ విల్ కాంప్రమైజ్ ద ఎసెన్షియల్ రిలీజియస్ ప్రాక్టీస్ ఆఫ్ శబరిమలై టెంపుల్ అంటే, ఒకవేళ దాన్ని ఈఆర్పి అని డిటర్మైన్ చేశారనుకోండి, ఆర్టికల్ 14 కెనాట్ బి అప్లైడ్ టు ద శబరిమలై. రైట్ టు ఈక్వాలిటీ అప్లై అవ్వదు. ఎందుకు అప్లై అవ్వదు? ఉమెన్ విల్ నాట్ బి పర్మిటెడ్ ఇన్ టు ది టెంపుల్. అండర్స్టాండబుల్ సార్? అంటే ఒక ప్రాక్టీస్ ని ఈఆర్పి అని డిటర్మైన్ చేస్తే 14, 19 and 21 దే విల్ నాట్ బి అప్లికబుల్ టు దట్ రిలీజియస్ ప్రాక్టీస్. దీన్ని మనము షిరూర్ మట్ కేస్ అనే ఒక కేసులో సుప్రీం కోర్ట్ హ్యాస్ ఫస్ట్ బ్రాట్ ఇన్ ద డాక్ట్రిన్ ఆఫ్ ఈఆర్పి ఇన్ ఆర్డర్ టు ప్రొటెక్ట్ ద రిలీజియన్స్ ఆఫ్ ఇండియా. బట్ ద మెయిన్ ప్రాబ్లమ్ హియర్ ఈస్ who is going to determine which practice is essential for the survival of the religion? ఎవరు డిటర్మైన్ చేయాలి? ఏ ప్రాక్టీస్ ఎసెన్షియల్ అనేది ఎవరు చెప్పాలనేది ఫస్ట్ క్వశ్చన్ రైజ్ అయ్యింది. అండ్ ఇన్ దిస్ ప్లీజ్ ట్రై టు అండర్స్టాండ్ దిస్, the Supreme Court of India, it has taken to itself the responsibility in order to determine in a religion which practice is essential and which practice is not essential. ఎవరు డిటర్మైన్ చేస్తారంటే నేనే డిటర్మైన్ చేస్తాను. మరి మీరు డిటర్మైన్ చేయడానికి are you a practitioner of that religion? You might not be a practitioner of that religion. Then second thing is, usually what is essential and what is non-essential in a religion should be best left to the believer and the religious leaders who are present in the community. But what the Supreme Court is saying, no. Who will determine? I will determine. So, and it has taken a theological position, because of which reason there have been a lot of criticism of the Supreme Court of India. For example, among the Muslim population, they believe that following the Shariat is an essential religious practice. But the Supreme Court is saying that following Shariat is not essential for the survival of Islam. Then naturally a question will rise, who is the Supreme Court to tell? What religious authority does the Supreme Court has in order to tell whether following the Shariat is essential religious practice or not. The Supreme Court in Karnataka, the Karnataka High Court has stated that wearing of hijab is not essential to Islam. Then the matter went to the Supreme Court of India. Now it is still in adjudication. అంటే స్కూల్స్ కి మీరు రిలీజియస్ సింబల్స్ వేసుకెళ్ళడం అనేది ఎసెన్షియల్ రిలీజియస్ ప్రాక్టీస్ కాదు అని చెప్పి హైకోర్టు తేల్చింది. సుప్రీం కోర్ట్ ఏమంటున్నారు? సుప్రీం కోర్ట్ హ్యాస్ పుట్ ద కేస్ స్టిల్ ఇన్ పెండింగ్. Primarily because, okay, so how can a court tell whether wearing hijab is essential or not? This is a central question, sir. I think you are understanding what I'm trying to say. So this way the case has evolved. There are multiple other interpretations, but you need to remember, whenever any provision of a religion is determined as an essential religious practice under Article 25 of the Indian Constitution, then immediately Article 14, 19 and 21, they are going to go aside. Are you understanding this, sir? చాలా మంది తప్పుగా అర్థం చేసుకుంటారు. ఇండియన్ కాన్స్టిట్యూషన్ లో యూజువల్ గా వేరే ఆర్టికల్స్ అప్లికబిలిటీలో 14, 19 అండ్ 21 కి డామినెన్స్ ఉంటుంది. కానీ ఈఆర్పి వచ్చినప్పుడు ఈ 3 ఆర్టికల్స్ ఎక్కడికి వెళ్తాయి సార్? పక్కకి వెళ్తాయి. అండ్ ద సెంటర్ పొజిషన్ ఈస్ టేకెన్ బై వాట్ సార్? ఆర్టికల్ 25. Understandable? Making sense to you? So this is a case with respect to ERP, sir. I'll explain more about it. It's a very prominent topic. We'll talk more about it, sir. ఇంకా చెప్పండి. ఇంకా ఏదైనా మీకు క్వశ్చన్ ఉన్నా లేకపోతే ఏదైనా ప్రామినెంట్ టాపిక్ ఉన్నా ప్లీజ్ సజెస్ట్. చెప్పండి సార్. How many of you are from mentorship program? How many of you are the usual batch students? మామూలుగా ఇక్కడ క్లాసెస్ అటెండ్ అయ్యే వాళ్ళు ఎంతమంది ఉన్నారు? ఓకే, you are also new student, new batch. Okay, so this is the case scenario. So any other question from your side, sir? Mainly mentorship students should ask questions. మీకు ఏమైనా టాపిక్స్ ఇబ్బంది ఉంటే మీరు కంపల్సరీ సజెస్ట్ చేయాలి. సజెస్ట్ చేస్తే we can discuss those topics in order to help you people. Understandable? So any other questions, sir? Online students also can put forward if they have any questions or queries they can ask. Any other question? No. For many of you people who are from the new batches, the class might have seemed like Greek and Latin. Sorry, edo maatladutunnadu. Okay, so but these are current affairs, sir. For that you need a backing. Okay, the backing is in fact you need to know in anti-defection act discuss చేసినప్పుడు మీకు డిఫెక్షన్ అసలు ఎందుకు వచ్చింది అనేది మీకు ముందు తెలిసి ఉండాలి. So then we can build on that. So that way it will be done, sir. So otherwise I have to, okay, so I'm not here to discuss polity. I'm here to discuss current developments. Polity to manaku sambandham ledhu. Current developments in polity is a central concern for us. So that's the reason why I've given all the prominent Supreme Court judgments also with respect to anti-defection. Okay, particularly the last judgment that I have provided is a very important one. Similarly, okay, when it comes to the issue of Ladakh also, you people should know about union territory provisions which are present in the Indian Constitution. I was talking about the recent controversy with respect to Ladakh. Similarly, essential religious practice also is not a thing which is based on constitution. It is a current development, because of which reason we need to discuss. You people might be knowing Sabarimala temple lo usual ga women ki permission. Why there is no permission for women, sir? Usually traditionally what is the logic? The god himself is a bachelor. Celibacy of the god would be compromised అని చెప్పి Sabarimala temple లోకి women కి usual గా permission ఉండేది కాదు. And it was claimed to be an essential religious practice of the temple. But some women, they went to the Supreme Court and petitioned saying that our Article 14 is being compromised. Then the Supreme Court examined whether permitting women or not permitting women is it an essential religious practice of Sabarimala temple and JP Supreme Court examined this. And Supreme Court stated clearly that not permitting women is not an essential religious practice of the temple. Supreme Court itself said that is essential religious practice కాదు కాబట్టి ఉమెన్ కూడా పర్మిట్ చేయండి, ఆర్టికల్ 14 అప్లై చేయండి, ఆర్టికల్ 25 ప్రొటెక్షన్ దీనికి లేదు అని చెప్పి సుప్రీం కోర్ట్ డిటర్మైన్ చేసింది. చేసిన తర్వాత ఏం చేశారు? దే స్టార్టెడ్ సెండింగ్ ఉమెన్ ఇంటు ద టెంపుల్. నౌ అగైన్ ద సేమ్ పిటిషన్ హ్యాస్ గాన్ టు ది సుప్రీం కోర్ట్ ఆఫ్ ఇండియా. నౌ ఏ లార్జర్ బెంచ్ హ్యాస్ సాట్. So it is going to, yes, okay, 9-judge bench. 9, right? 9-judge bench. Okay, so it's a very big bench that has sat, but most probably the outcome of the bench is predetermined already. ఖచ్చితంగా దాన్ని ఈఆర్పి అని చెప్పి మళ్ళీ ప్రొక్లెయిమ్ చేస్తారు. ఆర్టికల్ 14 అప్లై అవ్వదంటారు. ఉమెన్ అగైన్ వుడ్ బి స్టాప్డ్ ఫ్రమ్ గోయింగ్ టు ది టెంపుల్. అండర్స్టాండబుల్ సార్? సో అంటే ఇది చాలా మంచి క్వశ్చన్, ఎందుకంటే మనకు ఆర్టికల్ 14, 21 సో రిపీటెడ్ గా ఫస్ట్ ఏమన్నారు ఆర్టికల్ 25 లేదు, ఆర్టికల్ 14 అప్లై అవ్వాలి. ఇప్పుడు ఏమంటారు మళ్ళీ లేదు, ఇది ఎసెన్షియల్ రిలీజియస్ ప్రాక్టీస్, ఇది ఆర్టికల్ 25 ప్రొటెక్షన్ ఉంటుంది దీనికి, కాబట్టి ఆర్టికల్ 14 అప్లై అవ్వదని చెప్పి కొత్త జడ్జిమెంట్ ఇస్తారు. అండర్స్టాండబుల్? సో ఎనీ అదర్ క్వశ్చన్స్ ఆర్ ఫ్రమ్ యువర్ సైడ్? ఎనీ అదర్ ప్రామినెంట్ టాపిక్? Yes. So actually, my plan was to today discuss the topic of social media regulation. Next week, I'm going to discuss about it, primarily because you might have seen Telegram has been banned in the last week. Then before that also, the Indian government is passing many orders to social media platforms in order to ban the influencers. చాలా మంది ఇన్ఫ్లుయెన్సర్స్ ని పాస్ట్ ఒక 5 months లో కంటెంట్ రిమూవల్ రిక్వెస్ట్ కానీ బ్యాన్ ఆన్ ఇన్ఫ్లుయెన్సర్స్ కానీ చాలా ఎక్కువ జరిగింది. దాంతో పాటు ఓకే ట్విట్టర్, దట్ ఈస్ ఎక్స్ ప్లాట్ఫామ్, ఇట్ హస్ ఛాలెంజ్ ద ఇండియన్ గవర్నమెంట్ in the Supreme Court of India, saying that the content removal requests are becoming effective censorship. కాబట్టి ఆ ప్రీ సెన్సర్షిప్ ఇష్యూ కూడా మనం డిస్కస్ చేయాలి. ఇంటర్నెట్ బ్యాన్ గురించి there is a very famous case which is called as Anuradha Basheen case. We need to discuss that case also. So today my plan was to discuss that topic too, but I could not finally conclude the topic properly. That's the reason why I'll discuss it in the next class. నేను మొత్తం అసలు ఐటీ రెగ్యులేషన్ లో ఏమేమి, ఐటీ యాక్ట్ లో ఎలా సోషల్ మీడియా ప్లాట్ఫామ్ ని రెగ్యులేట్ చేయొచ్చు, డిపిడిపి ప్రొవిజన్స్ లో ఎలా ఉంది, ఐటీ ఇంటర్మీడియట్ గైడ్ లైన్స్ లో సోషల్ మీడియా ప్లాట్ఫామ్స్ ని ఎలా క్లాసిఫై చేస్తారు, వాళ్ళ మీద ఎలా కంట్రోల్ ఎక్సర్సైజ్ చేస్తున్నారు, ఆ ఇష్యూ కూడా మనం డిస్కస్ చేయాలి. ఓకే, విల్ డూ ఇట్ ఇన్ ద సబ్సిక్వెంట్ వీక్. ఎనీ అదర్ క్వశ్చన్స్ ఫ్రమ్ యువర్ సైడ్? ఇంకా ఏదైనా ప్రామినెంట్ థీమ్ ఉందా సార్? ఎనీ అదర్ ప్రామినెంట్ థీమ్ దట్ వి మైట్ హావ్ మిస్డ్, ఓవర్లుక్డ్ ఇన్ ద పాస్ట్ 10-15 days? Okay, so the white elephant in the room is Iran-US war. Okay, so but the issue has not reached its logical conclusion as of yet. ఇంకా చూద్దాం. ఓకే, ఒక వారం రోజులు టైం ఇద్దాం, ఎందుకంటే మనకు పిచ్చోడి చేతిలో రాయి ఉంది కాబట్టి, సో అది ఎప్పుడు ఎట్లా పడుతుందో మనకు తెలియదు. ఓకే, సో కాబట్టి మళ్ళీ రీఫ్లేర్ అప్ అవ్వడానికి కూడా పాసిబిలిటీ ఉంది కాబట్టి లెట్స్ వెయిట్ ఫర్ ఎ వీక్స్ టైం. So then after that, okay, maybe I or Rahul sir might discuss this topic of Iran versus USA. There is one more topic that needs to be looked at. Inka em topics unnai sir? What other topic is there prominent one? Have you seen? Okay, so prelims related topics either and kodi meeku cheptanu raskondi. Kodi prelims related topics unnai. Those things you can prepare on your own. Have you seen recently GI tags have been given to, yes, okay, GI tags ఒక టాపిక్ ఉంది, ఒక నిమిషం ఆగండి. Yes, okay, GI tags, particularly Jharkhand as a state got nearly 15 GI tags, sir. 16 GI tags. Then next one is Indian Meteorological Department has given Vision 2047 document. Indian Meteorological Department, IMD has given 2047 document. Vision 2047. Okay, then one more is with respect to Shanti Bill. Shanti Bill is a very important topic. Then next one, Shanti Bill. Then Civil Drone Promotion and Regulation Bill. The bill is still under discussion. That's the reason why I did not discuss it, but you can read it. 2025. Civil Drone Promotion and Regulation Bill. Regulation Bill. Then, okay, then Dedicated Rare Earth Corridors. Dedicated Rare Earth Corridors. Okay, so these are some of the topics that you can prepare. So I'll discuss some of them also in the next week, sir. వీటిలో కొన్ని మనం మళ్ళీ మాట్లాడుకుందాం. So this is the case scenario. So on this note, we'll wind up the session for today. Tomorrow, next class, next Saturday, we're going to meet again. We'll discuss more topics, sir. All right. So maybe we need to structure it around a handout. Then we can discuss at least 6-7 topics per session. That should be the target, sir. All right. So good day.